All right, Harpreet. So you are one of my students, and I'm just trying to interview and see like, what is your experience? What have you learned? Like, what kind of struggles are you going through right now as you are learning code because you haven't finished the program? You are in the program for like 2 months, 2 months?
Two and a half, three, two and a
Yeah.
half.
So probably a bunch of people would relate with your issues, and they would see how you overcame them. They would see like kind of what kind of difficulties have you had before, what kind of difficulties do you have right now, and how do you see the future, and pretty much things along that nature. So why did you wanted to learn programming? Like, what was the motivation for it?
Um, there's like a few things. I always had an interest, but I never pursued it. But then since pandemic, I've seen my friends progress, like who were actually working on it and then achieve what they wanted to achieve for
Mhm.
a while. And then when I saw that, I was like, I always wanted to do it. And what I'm was currently doing right now is not necessarily where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the barriers to get into web development are much different than compared to any other field, right? You want to be nurse, doctor, whatever, like you have to have a degree at whatever.
Mm-hmm.
With web development, it's just you do your work, make your programs, people see you have a talent, they hire you. It's simple. I'm sure there's more to it, but like it's simple
Yeah,
as that.
if you simplify it.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I saw my friends' progress. Obviously, they had degrees and they have been doing for a while, and they
Mhm.
encouraged me, and so I started it. But I was just going around in circles, man.
So in 2020, you started thinking about it?
So this would be almost a year ago. So February 2022.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But
2020.
I'd been thinking about it, but actually like fully
Okay. So you
sat down.
started thinking in 2020 during the pandemic, and
Yeah.
then you acted upon it in February. So like
Yeah,
last
you know
year,
what?
literally.
Yeah, last year,
So why did you delay for 2 years starting,
yeah. Honestly,
thinking
like
about it and starting? Because that's a big thing for most people, right? With anything, they think about it and then it takes like 2 years till the pain, I guess, becomes unbearable and they start doing something about it. What was for you?
I think just like every other curve you see, like you have your moments you kind of start, then you let it go, kind of start, let it go, kind of start, let it go.
Mhm.
It's because like just the reality in like life happens. You kind of like, oh, you have a job, so you don't necessarily depend on it to study because you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that you really have to put your mind set aside. Things have to be going perfectly fine for you to like set aside time, and then eventually once a month or every 2 months later on something will happen in life. You would like, no, I need to concentrate on something else for now, and then you forget about it, and then you come back like later on 2 months 3 months down the road, you're like, no, I need to do this, but then you start from back to zero again because you forget about it.
Right. So in 2020, you actually started, you did something, you quit,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I was jumping back and forth on HTML and CSS because that's just the beginning. And a couple of my friends were telling me, hey, get started on that. And then once you get there, you can jump on JavaScript. But for now, stick to that. That's the basics to begin.
Gotcha.
But I'd started, stop it, started, stop it. Yeah.
And how did you feel like starting and stopping, starting and stopping?
You don't realize in short period of time, but like over a year and a half, it's frustrating because you're not making progress.
Mm-hmm.
You think, oh, I know this, but you can't execute it because you've seen the videos 100 times or 3 times, 4 times at this point. But you're like, okay, I get it, but why can't I do something of my own? Why can't I execute it? Because I haven't had practice. I haven't done things. Or I'd find a challenge, but I'd get stuck, and I'm like, how am I supposed to solve this?
Yeah.
There's only a full solution available. There's no hints kind of thing.
Right. And hints for your specific situation in that moment.
Yeah. So it was just, yeah. And then eventually it just gets frustrating as the time progresses, but you don't make any progress.
Right. So it's that's the time between like 2020 and February 2022.
Yeah.
Right. And then what changed in February 2022?
Uh, this is just again like, one of those realization if I don't do it now, I never will be. So I need to sit down and then I went on the regular path. You go on Udemy, find the most rated courses, start practicing back to back. You're like, if they did it, I can do it too.
How many boot camps have you done on Udemy?
Two,
Two boot camps, bro.
two boot camp.
80 hours. So
But in my defense, they were $20 each, bro.
I mean, it's not. So you did two boot camps. They sound funny. Two boot camps.
Well, yeah, it was just like again boot camp.
Yeah. I
It's
know
a
it.
course that's kind of similar to boot camp, right?
Yeah. Gotcha. And you did like learn JavaScript in there or like React, I
Um,
suppose, SQL. Like what were you
yeah,
learning?
you get like introduction to it. You do like very basics of it, but obviously you don't get to any complex projects.
Hmm.
And by the time you get to any decent project, they're like, yeah, now you're on your own, go explore and make your thing. And I'm like, what? I don't know anything yet. Or I know just enough to sure I can get started, but I know I can't finish
Gotcha.
whatever I'm thinking to make.
Gotcha. And did you get any like tangible results
Um,
from
I
those?
thought I was good at HTML and CSS, but until I joined you, and then I'm like, no, I'm not.
Uh-huh.
But that's one thing out of 8 months came out was I got okay-ish at HTML and CSS. But then
Uh-huh.
again, this has been a continuous for a year and a half kind of thing. But even then I started first week with you and I'm like, wait, there's much more to CSS than I thought it would be.
And okay, let's talk about that for a second. Because I actually made that program for free. So if you are watching like the beginner HTML and CSS, it's made for free. So I think it's going to be the second link in the description. You can join that program if you're watching this video. Not you, Harpreet, but whoever is watching. So I made that program for free. And like, what was the difference compared with like the Udemy stuff? Because it's like
Udemy,
less
like,
videos, right? I don't know how the Udemy
oh,
course
we
is.
don't have enough. Udemy is like usually a lot of like whatever videos, hours and hours of videos. But then it's more like they'll tell you, hey, pause now and do this. If you can't figure it out, then unpause it and watch the video. So easy to unpause it and just kind of see how exactly to go about it. Because they're like, oh yeah, I thought about it. But with when I was working with you, it was just more like, hey, there's a design, get started. Or you're like, we did start with a basic, but eventually once you get to CSS, you're like, okay, here's a Figma, go for it. And then you go for it, and then a week later you go on a weekly meeting. They're like, either it's going really well or it's like really shit. But it's honest conversation, and then we go from there. And I think the feedback part is important because I'll do something really complicated. You're like, bro, why are you doing this? You could have done these 2 lines and solved this.
I
And all of a sudden, not only did I learn something new, but at the same time, I'm more efficient and I have more knowledge compared to a video which I cannot ask question to.
Yeah, you learn two ways, your way and then my way.
Yeah.
Then
I
you
mean, yesterday we had this conversation when I showed you that simple
the
that
calculator.
JavaScript div, which I made too complicated. And then I looked at other people's, I'm like, it looks too easy on them. Mine worked, but once you showed it, I'm like, oh, I can make it easier. So I now learned two different ways. One is easier, one's definitely hard. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. And like what is the workload that you're putting every, let's say, week? I think it's easier to manage to think about it in weeks. Like, do you feel like you are actively working on stuff more right now than before? Like, what is the ratio of working versus studying? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's also different because when I was doing the Udemy courses, you can come and pick it up any time. No one's really asking you anything. You can skip it for a few days or come back or just rewind the video and over here. And but and now with you, we have, 3 or 4 meetings in a week, and I see other people putting in time and effort. It's like a class environment, and where like, oh, not only I'm paying for it, first of all, so better put time and effort. Number two, it's just like I see other people, what I started with, other people ahead of me, right? I'm like, oh, they're really talented. That's what I want to be. It makes me feel motivated. And other people who are starting with me and also they're going further. I'm like, no, I want to catch up to them. If they can do it, I can do it too. It's one of those things. I'm like, I've seen them make same mistakes that I used to make.
Uh-huh.
So they're not that smart, but they're also getting further. So as long as I'm putting time, I
Ah,
can
because
get there too.
I didn't even, so you started, let's say, day one, and then you see someone that's like day 60, and you see their mistakes, and now you realize when you got to day 60 that you are making the same mistakes as the guys you were making at day 60,
Yeah,
kind of thing. And now they
because
are,
we have all the videos saved from previous Red group calls. So I've seen a bunch of guys from when they just started video,
uh-huh,
right? Like Kyrian, right? Not trying
uh-huh.
to drop any names,
Yeah,
but
it's okay, it's okay.
I've seen him from previous videos and you explaining him arrays and everything. And I've seen what he's capable right now. And it's
Uh-huh.
like a day and night difference. Like right now, to me, he's just like a genius god at this point who's just killing everything. So
Yeah,
I'm like, if he can get from that point to there, I know as long as I'm putting time, I will be there. And these are people you interact on daily basis. These are not someone who's gone or
yeah,
left the course, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I never thought about it like that, but it makes sense. So it's like you can watch. It would be interesting to at some point to have someone cut all the videos and make like a Netflix series with all their questions. That would be
Yeah.
actually pretty interesting. And then you can, like, at the end of the program, you'll receive some sort of uh list of links with all the videos, and then you see like a playlist, and then you see like first question versus like end product. That would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. And now
Yeah.
you're learning JavaScript. Like, have you had any experience with JavaScript before you met me?
Oh, I got an introduction to JavaScript, and that again, those you through Udemy,
Mhm.
those couple of courses that I did, or again, I was just trying to just YouTube stuff.
Mhm.
The problem with YouTube stuff is that most of the guys don't necessarily start from basic. It's usually like, let's build this project.
Yeah,
Sure, I can understand what they're making because they're trying to slow it down, but you don't understand the concept. You understand how to make that particular program, but you don't understand why these particular things were used to erase objects, why this method was used, but you just know it was used to make this
yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, so I had an introduction to some JavaScript, kind
Mhm.
of understand, like, I can break it down, but it wasn't necessarily like, going from A, B, C, D. It's just random alphabets here and there.
Yeah. And if you notice, like, I skipped a bunch of concepts. Like, I don't show you while loops, for example.
Yeah.
Like, it's, in my opinion, like, if I show you while loop, it's like an extra thing that you don't really need, and it's gonna clutter your brain. So I think, in my opinion, you'll be learning that by mistake at some point. But I'm showing you the for loop, which is like a foundational loop, let's say,
Yeah.
right? And like, do you feel, because right now you've made 5, 6,
Yeah.
7 projects with JavaScript?
Yeah, around five, around that. Yeah, just on Facebook posts, and after that,
Ah,
we're just making main calculators, and
yeah.
we're
And
doing the big boy stuff after this.
exactly, React in probably like 3 weeks, React, something.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And how do you feel about JavaScript right now? Is it like as confusing as before, or do you feel like it's more approachable?
My confidence is going up weekly. It's not like sometimes, definitely have times when I feel I don't get it, but I think it's because I didn't. It's also, you have to understand that I started JavaScript literally a month with you,
Hmm.
like about a month ago,
A
month
month.
maybe like a little bit more,
Yeah.
40 days. So within 40 days, like, it's an amazing progress. So it's understandable that if I'm just sitting around and questioning sometimes, like, do I really understand it? But for most of the part, I've realized that I'm able to now break down problems and then execute it. I may miss small things here and there, and then you're like, okay, bro, you missed a small thing, but I'm much more comfortable in it. I'm like, no matter how big it is, I'm like, okay, let me try to break it down to smaller things. And I think
Yeah.
that's important that we often discuss how to break down the problem.
Yeah.
Because
And
I think that's
and
sorry.
like the things that I see in code review whenever you show me stuff, it's like the only problem that you have is that your code is inefficient, so it's like
Yeah.
huge. But that's better to start from that, and then I'm giving you like, I gave you some hint, you optimized it, and then after this video I'm gonna show you how to optimize the last piece, because you got it right. It's just a few things that I would tweak there. So you have only optimization issues, which are natural, I guess, but I would rather have you optimization issues rather than solving the
Not
problem,
getting it. Yeah.
not
No,
getting.
I'm happy either way because I wasn't here at all.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm able to even just do this in a month and a half to get to this point, bro, 6 months from now, like I'm sure I'll understand optimization more. The fact that I'm actually able to make it work is it's
More
really
important.
impressive to me. Yeah, I get happy.
And when we first yeah, I think in December or November.
November, end of November.
What did you think, like, in that call we had? I'm a random dude from YouTube. Like, what did you think is gonna happen? Run away with
I
your
mean,
money, put everything on red in Vegas, and that's it. What
um,
did you think, like, honestly?
no, bro. I put about 3 to 4 months before I even contacted you. So I was researching on you before even like I reach
how,
out to
how
you.
did you research on it? I'm curious.
Well, it starts with like you watch so much YouTube, right? So eventually going through all those YouTube tutorials, I eventually reach out to your ones because I was looking to make my portfolio. And then something that I think as you were starting, so you were actually posting weekly calls there too at some point, just like showing how people would improve or something, or maybe just something similar to that, not necessarily weekly calls or whatever.
Mm.
At some point, you had a live, maybe call we put on YouTube, maybe.
Mm.
And I really
Maybe on
liked the
email. I
format.
think I sent you an email, maybe.
Maybe that way.
Maybe, yeah.
It was just like again, I found your conversation or like the way you were telling people to be pretty blunt and honest, and I think I preferred that over it's okay, everything's gonna be okay kind of thing. So, and then I looked up if I were to do a boot camp, like a proper boot camp kind of
Yeah.
thing, like a physical location with where I
Yeah.
live,
Yeah.
it would have costed me at least twice the amount, and then I'd have to quit daytime
Job.
job in order to be spent 3 months, because usually it's like 3 months, right? And even then, nothing is necessarily guaranteed.
By
You
the
have to
way,
put
by the way,
another.
let's talk about this for a second, right? Because I always hear whenever people go to a boot camp for like 3 months, like I've seen people learning in 3 months, but those are anomalies, right? But the thing that I hear most often with people going to boot camps is that they are getting burnt out and they are like worked to their ears because they have to code 50, 60 hours a week. Have you ever felt like I cannot keep up, or like it's too much on your plate? Like, how do you feel about that?
No, never burnouts. I have had times where like, well, HTML and CSS, I just kind of cruise through it because it's more visual. So you're like,
Mhm.
I know I can make changes. JavaScript, when we were going through just learning the methods, it's
The
not
array methods?
necessarily pretty. It's just, yeah, it's just console log, right?
Yeah.
I was frustrated at times. I'm like, I know I'm close. I just can't break it. I know I'm close. You can walk it off, come back, if you want to take a day off, take a day off. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's completely up to me how much time and effort I put in to get the final
Mm-hmm.
result.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped because I'm like, no, I don't get it. go for a walk, work out, come back. Or like literally I'll wake up next morning, like I know how to do it because I thought about it while I
Mm,
was sleeping.
yeah, yeah. In the shower.
And yeah, or something like a kick it. But I think I would definitely feel more like you have to constantly produce results because you have short period of time if when you go to college or like boot camp every day, and you have to go back to back to back. Over here, like when I'm enjoying it, I don't really count the amount of time I've spent, right? I'd spend 5 hours in a row because I'm enjoying it. And if I'm frustrated, I can take a day off. There's no
Right. So it's
there's
more
no
like natural
yeah.
because you
And
don't have
then
to, but you do it because you like the progress.
yes. And it's also like when I take a day off, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. But then later I'll be back an hour because something clicked in it.
Yeah, yeah. I have the
But it's
same
on my
thing.
own terms.
I have the same thing. Like, for example, today I'm gonna take a day off and I'm not gonna do anything related to the program because like the program means like client delivery and marketing, for example. These are the two things, right? And I always have to do something. Like even though I'm saying I'm not gonna do anything today, like for example, today is my day off, but I was thinking, hey, let me just do this. Or like I'm gonna write a post, or I'm gonna write something, or I'm gonna make a video, or like it comes natural because you're not forced to do it. You do it because you like it, So it's pretty cool
Yeah.
when things are like
It's a
that.
good feeling because you want to come back. It's not you're forced to come back.
Yeah. And how are the weekly calls? Like what were you
Oh, there.
expecting to get versus like because I
I
heard
think
this from I don't remember whom, probably Anuj. Anuj, yeah. He was like, bro, I didn't even know I'm gonna get all this stuff. Like, what were you expecting to get, and what did you actually get?
I'm still nervous first week. I was shy or quiet. And then now it's just like it's just just guys meeting up kind of thing. We just have a call. We can talk whatever we want to talk, but at the same time review the code and talk about whatever. Because before I was shy, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look stupid if I ask this question, even though it's like basic question.
Yeah,
Or I'd wait till the end. Now you're like, no, I need to know this right now.
yeah,
Sure, I'll get maybe made fun, but that's part of the like it's fun. We all laugh at each other because I made mistakes.
yeah. And it's not like stupid question. You know what's a stupid question when you are asking what is CSS after 6 months? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like how to use display flex after 6 months. Like
No, no, no. It
that's a
was more
stupid
like I was
question.
shy the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So there was, and it wasn't even like too many people, but now we have more people. But it's like the shyness has gone away, and it's just like it's really helpful because I c- I know because every other day or every second day, I'll be in contact and I see there are people ahead of me and I've seen their mistakes and I can skip those mistakes because I was there. And
Yes.
I've done that a couple of times because I'm like, oh, I know this is the next project. So I'll keep an eye on this and I've
Ah,
cruised through
interesting.
it because I'd already seen what others were suffering
Hack.
through. Yeah.
That's why,
But
like, I
it's a
see sometimes like there are some guys that are like one step behind, and I'm like, why didn't you make that mistake? For me, it's weird
yeah,
because like probably you noticed that I'm like someone shows me their code and I'm looking at one thing and I'm like, okay, good. I don't need to run the entire app. I just know where to look.
yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, how did this guy didn't make that mistake? And then I realized he saw someone making that thing like 2 weeks before or something like that. You know?
Yeah, but it's a good thing, right? If I were to make that mistake, which is not a bad thing, I would have learned anyways. But then you sit there for 2 days, you're like, I don't understand this. But now I already know. I've already learned the process. I already understand the concept. If I can skip a mistake and continue working, why not, right? It's a more efficient method.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For me, I really like the live calls, especially the endings.
Oh yeah, it
Those
helps to
are
just kind of like relax a bit because at the end of the day, everyone's just still stressed out. So like, or everyone's got like things going in their life, but you can just take 10 minutes to just kind of talk it out and just laugh about it.
yeah, yeah. I like the banter that we have, it's pretty cool.
It's true.
This is it's like one of
It's a
my
full
favorite,
community.
yeah, it's my favorite part of the weeks. And also like Kirian when he comes with his questions, I'm like,
He's funny. He's
he
funny.
knows, he knows. But yeah, bro.
It's
And
like he saves the content for the end.
what? Yeah, I should make like mini podcasts, you know.
You should.
And okay, let's see. Who do you think would be the right fit for what I do? Because I don't believe everyone is the right fit. Probably you saw like how we run things is like very like
It's like, so I fit perfect in there. So my only I think I still think about it like, I wish I had found you earlier, like when I took seriously in February,
Mhm.
and I would have saved them all about a year. So anyone who's beginner, who doesn't understand it, or just kind of understands some concept and is trying to learn, I think it's perfect for them because it's work at your own pace. You don't need to quit your job
That's a big
and
thing.
take your time to just get through it, kind of thing. And as long as anyone who's serious and holds themselves accountable for any sort of progress, you should be good.
Mhm.
It's you can't have someone who just wants to give money and be like, teach me. It's not that. It's more like, sure, you have to pay money, but you have to put in your time and effort.
Yeah. It's like you have to want to learn rather than me wanting to teach you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to come to me, you have to do the work, you have to ask the questions, you have to fuck up, you have to uh go through the process and like you have to be self motivated.
Self-motivated, self-taught, almost similar, except like you are there right behind someone. You're like, nope, you can do this to kind of make it faster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And like looking right now at what you've been doing for the past 3 months or so, 2 months and a half, 3 months, like how long do you think this process would have taken you by yourself going
I
to this
don't,
point, like till where you are here?
it would have taken me a long time, man, because right now we're following a proper protocol, a proper roadmap, road
Mhm.
path, or whatever you've designed. And even if I had spent maybe 6 more months, it would be hard because I wouldn't necessarily have the roadmap unless somebody actually held my hands, be like, no, do this, this, this. Every project we submit in JavaScript is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complicated. Eventually, the more complex one will come, but I understand the concepts now, right? It's hard to do that just off a YouTube video or a random Udemy course. Some of them are good. Like now, I still follow some of the courses, not because they're not good, but it's just like again, different thought and but I'm learning much more faster because I'm able to grasp the concept that I've learned here. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. And I can go faster, I can go through them faster just simply because I'm curious.
I'm always also saying like, hey, especially in the beginning, like right in the beginning of JavaScript, I don't do that with HTML and CSS, but I'm always saying like, hey, this concept, this is what I think about it, and this is how I explain it, and look up other people, see what other
Yeah.
people are saying, because it's
Yeah.
like one of those things where you need to do some active research, like to make sure that you understood it by making your own mind based on like research from other people.
And something that I had a conversation with my friend last night who actually is a full stack developer.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, I'm like, do you think I'm learning anything? Because I make this code that which is very simple, but I made it complicated, but it still works. And he's like, he's 2 years in. He's like, bro, I still do it. He's like, it's exactly how it works at work. He's like, I'll do something, and then the senior will take a look. He's like, why are you making it complicated? You can delete that, and that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Because I was questioning, I'm like, sometimes I don't know if I'm learning. And he's like, no, this is how it is. Like, sometimes I still feel like that. And you go around, read stuff, and you do it, and it'll start working. I'm like, oh, cool. I know stuff.
Mhm. But yeah, it's normal. Like you do it the complicated way, and then someone like me or like a senior dev or like mentor or whatever comes
Yeah.
and shows you the other way, you know. So I think it's normal for every.
Yeah, no, it just felt like, okay, no, this is how actually it works. It was just like another validation that I felt like, okay, now I'm on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's difficult. Like it's always difficult to say like this is the right way, because I've been taught by other people who are saying like, oh, this is the right way, this is the only way, and it's impossible to have the only way, right? But if you, what did I want to say, like, you can make your own mind and find out which one is the only way.
What works for you?
Exactly, by seeing like other things, and then because you can compare them, right? So if you've never tried the pizza, you cannot say that you like or not like pizza. Where am I going with this? I don't know, but you know what I mean, right?
I got you.
uh yeah, man. That's it, bro. Like, if you have anything to add in the end, go for it.
Um,
Not, probably I'll see you in like 2-3 months if you want to do this again. Do some sort of
yeah,
mini
well,
series, see where you
I
are.
think this will be definitely interesting. And I think again, like one of the important things was the testimonials on your page.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to your website, right? And you listen, you talk to people, you can tell that I could tell at least at that point, like these people were you were not making up stories.
Mm-hmm.
These people were genuine people, and even now, like sometimes people who have gotten job through you or like learn from you and got a job and then hop in on the call and it'd be like a cool thing. You're like, no, he's actually not lying. There are people actually have jobs
Yeah,
after
yeah,
studying from you.
yeah.
So I think it also I always go back to those videos sometimes when I'm like feeling down. I'm like, no, I want to be there. I want to be that guy who got interviewed after 6 months. Like, no,
Like
this guy
like
got a
Hector,
job.
like Hector when he came, and no, you were there when Hector
Yeah,
came. That
yeah,
guy pissed me off so much when I saw him with that blue background, bro.
yeah. So, um, it's just like I always go back to those videos like almost once a week simply because it makes me feel like no, I'm gonna do this. It's just like a motivation that I use for myself, and I think it's a good thing to have, even if you don't ever post it. It's a good thing for other people to see it all the time to kind of get feel good. Like no, we're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, it's like a lot of elbow grease, hard work, determination, like
Yeah.
making some sacrifices, cutting off some, you know, maybe people from your life that will drag you down and be like, hey, bro, or like
Oh,
cutting down on
100%.
Netflix. It's like sacrifice, but if you don't make sacrifices, you won't get anywhere. That's It's like
It's
one of
like when I
those
tell
cheesy
people,
quotes, bro. You know those cheesy quotes? Well, if you don't sacrifice for what you want, the thing that you want becomes the sacrifice. It's like, as cheesy
or
as it is, you have to cut off things, to make things happen.
or something I recently read, like everybody wants to talk about grind, but nobody wants to do it. Like they want to say it, I want to grind, but that means like isolating yourself, putting time and effort. But when you do that, they're like, oh, this is no, I'm missing out,
Feels
like
weird,
FOMO, I'm
right?
missing out on, yeah, it's weird. I'm missing out on parties, I'm missing out on friends. You're like, no, this is what grind actually looks like. But people love posting it, but nobody wants to actually sit down and see
I've been
grind.
like some personal stuff from me, like, bro, I think I've been grinding since I was 13 or something, you know, like making music, law school, coding, building this business. And right now I'm like, my girlfriend is pretty much forcing me to get holidays because I just want to do stuff, So after a while, you become used to it. But then,
Yeah,
how old are you right now?
I'm about 29.
29. Okay, you are a bit older than me. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, if you find the right thing, like for example, programming right now, which is, I think it's one of the best. Like if you learn programming, then marketing and sales, you become like a full stack person. Like if you put 5 years into these skills, then you can live extremely comfortably for the rest of your life. It's
Yeah, that's the plan, man. That's the end goal. It's not necessarily even comfortable. It's mostly to get to a point where you're like more self-sufficient, less dependent on others kind of thing. Because even now, even though I know minimum, I can still freelance a little bit. And it just blows my mind that I'm able to do this. And I'm like, it's only a matter of time. Like if I can finish this course with you I know I'll have so much more information, and I can even freelancing is like, I know I can keep doing that. So just you're more self-sufficient with this compared to any other job you can think of. You may not have that opportunity.
Mm.
You're not stuck to one particular thing. Like, no, if I leave this place, I can never be able to
You have
enjoy
like
this or
more
have
options,
this.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing, right? Because in a way, programming is very, or like programmers are like, if you are one of those born programmers, like the geeks, that's how I call them, right? If you are a geek,
Yeah.
it's very difficult for you to get out of the job, right? But if you are like a normal guy that learns programming, then because your brain is not so affected by just being engineering focused, then you can either have a job or freelance, build a product, build a course like me, or a program, or you can even do like, it doesn't have to be only for beginners, right? So if you get really good at React, let's say, and you really like React, then you can have like conferences or like do corporate training, or there are so many options out there. You just have to have the right skills
Yeah.
and put yourself in a position where you can sell those skills properly.
Yeah, I agree.
That's pretty much how it is.
Agree.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for watching. And if you want to be part of like this whole thing, the link is in the description. You know what you have to do. Cheers.